All right, so I am live from Quarantine Zone 3, and I have to tell you, Sam, I have to fucking tell you, I know I come to these episodes hot, because I always do, and then I peter out of energy around like 49 minutes in, I think, but today I'm hot, and I'm mostly hot because this quarantine is the greatest thing that's ever fucking happened to me. It has been nothing but exercise, literature, catching up on my shows, more exercise, new ideas, telecommuting for 15 minutes a day where I put in my timesheet and I punch right the fuck bed out. It is beautiful. It is art. It is my renaissance. And it really makes me feel like a dare tick on human civilization because other people are, what's the word I'm looking for? Dying. But I am great. This is like Marie Antoinette pre-guillotine. That is my experience right now.
I think you also mentioned, there was some mention of just the general sort of being a piece of shit too.
Oh yeah, I've had a blanket wrapped around me in my house like a sarcophagus.
I saw just a ton of empty cans of Guinness in that recycling.
Well, yeah, I need to stay hydrated.
It's important in times like these.
I'm not doing this for myself, Sam. I'm doing it for the fucking people. Do you know why? I'm a man of the people. Specifically, I am doing what a plurality of the people want to be doing right now.
What I'm doing right now is waiting for my employers to get with the fucking program. It should take them less than a week.
Have you considered asking them to just give you a grenade to juggle every day instead of fucking showing up? It would take out the same number of other people incidentally than just dragging everyone's ass to work in the middle of quarantine land. For the record, we are in New York City, so that's a population density semi-maximum, right?
Oh yeah, I think we actually just outpaced Washington State as ground zero.
Yeah, so we're doing the whole dead fucking rising thing here.
I could be wrong though, but like I think that the number doubled from yesterday. So
yeah, he could be wrong, but ideally it's not a competition. I like to think it's not a competition, though I am very competitive. I don't know, if it has to be bad, maybe it should be number one, but I need to buy, I don't know, some kind of baseball bat.
This is the burden of being the greatest state.
Someone in California is canceling their fucking subscription.
They'll live.
Not with the skin cancer, they won't. It's a thing. It's real.
Oh fuck though, the thing
they call that makeup in California.
The thing about it is those seals. New York doesn't got seals. Oh wait, no, we do, but you sort of have to go out on a you have to go out on a boat to see the seals. They just have seals.
Wait, we have seals about if you want to
in the summer. If you charter a boat, yes, you can see seals. They're kind of off of Long Island, but
duly noted.
But in San Diego, you could just drive up to La Jolla, and there's just a fucking seal beach, and they just do seal shit.
Another benefit of living in San Diego. You can assassinate Peter Thiel.
You could do that if you wanted to. If someone else wanted to. If someone else wanted you to. For instance, a podcast host. If a podcast host wanted you to assassinate Peter Thiel, and if you lived in San Diego, there'd be nothing stopping you from doing that.
I guess I'm saying
a podcast host of like an anime podcast or something like that. Where a couple of dudes from Brooklyn, talk about anime and tell you to assassinate Peter Thiel.
Yeah, in that very hypothetical scenario where like some podcast host had a meddlesome priest and said, man, if someone could take this meddlesome priest and just get rid of him, that could be happening. Only the meddlesome priest
is Peter Thiel.
Oh, I might have to bleep 3 of those. I mean, I won't, but I probably should.
You did be responsible, but you just admitted to.
If it becomes a problem, I will bask in our newfound fame.
All right.
Before
just lean into it, make a cursory apology.
Yeah, make a cursory apology. Actually, knowing myself and knowing the era, I might
you probably
double
wouldn't.
Down.
Yeah,
maybe triple.
How does one triple down on that sort of thing? Like, you try and do it yourself?
Let's see. How does one triple down? I guess you'd say I didn't say that, but if I did, I wouldn't apologize. I think that would be the overall fucking timbre of the thing.
All right, I get you.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, live from the fucking cages here, right? So
It's Weeaboo Hell. This is Weeaboo Hell.
unrelatedly, our first show is about cells fighting off diseases in a body.
Yeah, definitely. We didn't pick a theme here or anything tonight. That's
Oh, wait, there's a theme. They're all retro shows. Yes, that's the theme uniting these three.
they are actually all kind of.
They're mostly first half of the tens, except the middle one is
No. Cells at Work was 2018.
Oh shit, you're right.
No, really, the only retro show is the third one, which we'll get to.
I guess part of me assumed, completely incorrect, that Cells at Work, title of our first series today, came from like the peak slice of life wave.
No, it was I remember being on Animemes. I've since given up Reddit. It's been to my benefit. I remember being on Animemes while that was airing, and I was like, I think I subscribed to that in, God, I want to say late 2017. So it was definitely, I think it aired in 2018.
Man, giving up Reddit, that just make you stronger, faster? Could you breathe more easily? Could you see further? Could you jump higher?
It was honestly just completely like incidental. What happened was I got a new phone. I got locked out of Reddit, and I just decided not to follow up on that problem. Wow, and here I am.
Did you just hear soft orchestral music when that happened? Like a weight lifting off of your mortal shoulders?
I mean, look at me now. I look like a god.
You guys can't tell at home, he's actually hovering 1 foot off the ground.
There's this sort of, if I turned off the lights, you'd still be able to see.
Yeah, it's actually really bad for my retinas. Sometimes I have to just crawl back in the caves and plot against heaven.
You might need to get some of that biopsied.
Ooh, see, I've got the California makeup I was talking about. But I guess I should talk about this little show here. It's called Cells at Work. It's a lot of fun, actually. I had a good time with this show.
Exceptionally charming, yeah.
Yeah, charming is definitely the word for this show's strengths. And conceptually, I almost want to compare it to Osmosis Jones, but maybe better realized. And
no, it feels more like something on PBS, except, by David production.
Yeah, so this is a educational comedy slice of life.
I think the
action. When you get original enough, all of the sort of hyphens and slashes in the genre space get a little.
The portmanteau that has been invented, however long ago, is edutainment, and it is very. I was very sports edutained.
I was very sports edutained too, particularly by the sheer casual character that they give the switches to white blood cells actively desiring the blood of their enemies.
Well, let's start from the premise. The premise is that, it's not quite a work com, it's not quite a slice of life, it's just sort of a zoom in on a couple of different cells in a human body that is represented to look sort of like both a factory, an office space, a city.
It leans much more heavily into the factory and city elements than the office space elements, except for a running gag where there's a sort of central nervous system director is this guy screaming at everyone through view screens, which is very amusing.
It's Helper T-Cell.
Helper T-Cell, yes. Helper T-Cell looks like he might have his own heart attack trying to prevent this body from having a heart attack.
Yeah.
And and
what it does is it zooms in on a red blood cell and a white blood cell. The red blood cell is the sort of archetypical cute kind of klutzy anime girl. One of her things is that she has absolutely no sense of direction, so sometimes she'll be trying to get to the lungs and then will be informed, no, you're in a kidney right now.
In my notes, I call this character type a perspective girl. I don't know, maybe I've seen this enough that that's just a stock type in my head.
Yeah. And then the white blood cell is Jotaro Kujo.
The white blood cell is a fucking murderer.
He had a very efficient introduction. I felt like, there's a moment very early on in the first episode where a number of bacterium who look kind of like Dragon Ball Z villains.
Yeah, very Frieza or Frieza Flunky adjacent. Yeah. I suppose that Akira Toriyama can enjoy just embedding himself in the fucking DNA of this medium in a lot of ways. Oh, DNA, wow, this show really did make a mark on me. This show won me over because at first, I don't know, I resist everything, and I had my little visceral reaction. How dare you try to educate me? I left graduate school and vowed I would never take in new information again.
How dare you make pleasant-looking characters with their designs meant to endear them to me?
Who the fuck do you think you are?
I should shit down your throat.
But yeah, I was won over. I know. There's a lot of little things that work in this show. There's the red blood cells as hats being shaped like kind of like
a red blood cell,
or at least a common diagram of them.
How they are represented in textbooks across this nation.
Yeah, very med school core. This is a med school core show.
The sort of Jotaro impression that the white blood cell is doing. Interestingly enough, Jotaro's actual voice actor shows up on this show, not as the white blood cell, but as the leader of the T cell squad. Who show up? Oh man, what a goddamn treat! Just a fucking Stasi squad or the Tauntaun Makutes, or you're just picking a secret police force throughout history.
They are essentially my mental image of your average Blackwater squad. Thrown into your body.
Say kill on them.
Essential fashion accessories. Now, some of them just wear full-on fash helmets.
I'm kind of want one of those baseball caps that they have, the kill baseball caps.
Mine is already in the fucking mail. I was pounding on my phone as soon as they came on screen saying, yeah, this is the way. This is my future. This is what I fucking want.
I think when I decided that I liked this show was somewhere in either the first episode, like towards the end of the first episode, where a bacterium is captured and shot out of a rocket, which is their sort of visual metaphor for someone sneezing, right? And then this sneeze is broadcast to all of the cells in the body in just a big flat screen TV, like so many, Falcon whatever launches from SpaceX, and you just see all of the T cells just saluting at this grand achievement.
It is heroic.
I guess we should talk about the platelets.
Oh yeah, the platelets are
precious children.
Flawless marketing creations.
Oh man, it's smart. I have to admire it. I do.
The first line of dialogue that these kids in the show, platelets are represented by small children wearing forwards or sometimes backwards baseball caps and little blue blouse things.
They're like kind of like bloomers and blouses, and they're absolutely precious. You just want to pinch their cheeks.
If their first line of dialogue had been, "Time to make some motherfucking money," I would have understood.
Yeah, that's
the sheer purity of purpose that these things have.
Oh man, no, like this is where it was coming from with this show.
Who's ready for some merch? But yes,
they're all over the ED too.
They are.
Because, yeah.
I went into this thing thinking that little red blood cell lady was the one here to move units.
She's fine.
And then the platelets came in and said, "Step aside. This show. This show, you're standing in my show. You're standing here with my permission.
It is by my grace that you live.
You consider yourself
It is
kawaii.
By my grace that this shit is run."
And then Jotaro makes eye contact and they back off like, okay. You don't have to get real here.
I do like the Jotaro white blood cell.
I mean, the show manages a lot of very effective tonal jokes with him.
Yeah, no, when he first shows up, he's covered in blood and staring at them with one eye, the other one obscured by both his hair, his hat, and his blood.
The show also changes style when he takes actions, which, when well done, always makes for a good giggle, I think.
He's a guy with a job.
You know Brock in the early Venture Brothers seasons, the way that his sequences just felt like they were from a different show? They do that with the...
I need to feel the kill.
Oh, memories.
If I might go on an aside for a little bit, I really do like how.
An aside on Weeaboo Hell? What podcast do you think that? My God, you fucking
I
disgust
do really
me.
like where
Piece
they
of
went
shit.
where they went with Brock Sampson's character, where like they decided that everyone needs to suck, including the guy who, doesn't suck.
Oh, yeah. When you got the Brock variations of failures, or first of all, this is the last month where this word is relevant, and we wanted to use it last episode, so now we get to do it. Brock is a simp. Bam! Weaved in. Got it. Threaded the fucking needle. Go Dennard. Go Dennard. Go Dennard. Go. Oh, I'm doing a little dance by the microphone. It's very important to your experience.
It's an impressive looking dance. No, he is a simp who does not have like much of a life beyond what he does, and he's very sad because.
Oh yeah, in his few opportunities to move on to bigger and better things, he still stares at his old, legitimately pitiful life and like, oh, I miss it. I talked to a person and they cared. The name Molotov Cocktease is one of the best things that franchise ever did.
I think that show actually did peak with just I think it was Dragoon delivering the line, "The man is a Fruit Loop."
That was pretty great. Did it peak there? I don't know. I think the thing that I respect Venture Brother. Yeah, I know, but yeah,
it was the funniest single moment of that show to me.
Yeah. I respect that it does the this is a thing that sort of South Park managed to, where it just sort of reinvents itself.
Where it became like serialized for a season or so.
Yeah, and I respect keeping the fucking frontier fresh there.
Anyway, the show that we advertised that we were talking about.
Yeah, Cells at Work. Speaking of Venture Brothers, actually does remind me of this. I'm gonna take one jab at this show's hackles here.
Oh yeah, that thing that it does that a lot of anime do, where they
it is a perennial anime comedy.
It really is. They refuse to leave a joke implicit.
They refuse the joke implicit, and after the joke has landed, they'll say a line of dialogue underlining the joke 3 times, like, hey, drawing a circle in fucking highlighter.
Like, here is the punchline to the joke that was just told.
In case you weren't paying attention.
I don't know. Maybe the rules of comedy are different in specifically like the Japanese language or in like the Japanese theatrical tradition or something. I don't know. I've never been. I'm not Japanese. I've never, like read Japanese. I've read some Japanese literature, right? But like Murakami and like I did Tale of Genji back when
not
I
exactly
really,
a sitcom.
Was really trying to like be into the fact that I was such a weeb. But like
he was doing his weeaboo gang initiations. You have to follow someone down an alley, walk up to them and say, "Watch Bleach," and run away. Don't watch Bleach.
Point being, I know that perhaps, comedy is not a universal language, right? Like, maybe were I a viewer in Japan and they explained the joke to me like this, and I would still find it funny. But, like, is it? Does it make the joke work better over there? Because it doesn't over here.
I don't know. I feel like the best comedies that I've enjoyed from, anime or various translated shits, they don't really do that. So I think, I don't know, maybe just the creative scene over there, there's just different great filters. Like, I think in American comedy, the great filter is just sort of arbitrary meanness, said Dennard, who was nice all the time. But I'm talking more of a sitcom kind of thing where...
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that seems like more of a trend than anything else.
True.
Like, one that's been sort of ongoing since I want to say mid-90s. So it's Seinfeld changed comedy.
Oh, yeah. Everyone wants to pretend they're Costanza. But there can be only one man atop the throne of acrimony.
Is it Dennis?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's Dennis.
Dennis, how are you not in jail?
Perhaps is a serial killer.
Yes, perhaps. Oh God, Sunny in Philadelphia is great too. But yeah, I guess it just annoys me particularly because in the first episode that we watched, there was a joke that was like fucking great, sort of slapstick kind of thing where she opens the door and closes and he bursts out. But then they have to just hit it at the fucking kneecaps with "Don't walk away like nothing happened."
Yeah, no, that is the thing. You mentioned that other shows, few enough other shows don't do this. Like no one said at the end of It's not Shingo. Oh, fuck. It's been so long since I've seen Prison School. I don't have their names straight anymore.
We gotta do a full series reread now.
Okay. If you insist, I'll read one of my favorite manga of all time again.
I'm gonna need 5 minutes away from the mic here. Just gotta go through
after
the pilgrimage, the Hajj, as we call it here on Weeaboo Hell.
After the shit gag on Prison School, no one said, he shit his pants to me. Or maybe they did, but it was too different effect.
Or at least distributed different in time so you don't undercut it in the fucking moment.
Oh god, I remember one of my favorite small gags on that was just someone commenting about him. What a nasty creep.
By the way, I don't know if this changes in Cells at Work, but they often don't get too specific in these early parts that we perused about what the host is up to or how the end of the situation, what the host is like. So when they got an abrasion on their skin that let some germs in, I couldn't but think, oh shit, the host is getting his ass kicked. He walked into the wrong bar and started some shit.
I think we were talking about how, like, I want an arc of this show where the host, develops a heroin addiction, and it's like Batman No Man's Land.
It's like Batman No Man's Land, or, I don't know, in terms of a heroin addiction, I fucking imagine it as just a sacrifice from Berserk. This blighted landscape.
The fucking eclipse arc.
Yes.
Oh, that's way better.
No survivors. Platelets impaled down a row as far as the eye can see. One white blood cell stands alone. Alternatively, since Griffith is a betrayal, and the T cells are hilarious.
What are the T?
Here's a story arc.
Okay.
Not heroin addiction.
Go for it.
The host gets fucking MS, and the T cell betrays the body.
Is that how MS works? I'm not actually...
Yeah, basically your immune system... I'm sorry, let me drop some expert knowledge on you. No, passing Wikipedia knowledge. Basically, your immune system attacks your nervous system, and batshit starts happening.
The thing is that one T cell looks a lot like Dio, and,
Oh shit, are these spoilers? Am I dropping some spoilage on...
It is not... Dio never really betrayed anyone. He was always Dio.
The old Aznable defense, as it were. I've never betrayed anyone in my life.
Wait, which one did he say that in? Was that Chara's counterattack or Zeta?
It was either late original series or in Zeta.
God, what a fucking moment in history.
Yeah. It is noble. It is noble. All right, so I'm going to mosey us along to our next program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we got a triple threat this episode.
Yep.
This is another semi-retro thing that is related to being a few years old and nothing to do with infection or quarantines or outbreaks, because that would be extremely insensitive. And I'm not that kind of guy. Are you
very,
that kind of guy?
Very tasteless. People have died.
Yeah.
So Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress, which is about a zombie apocalypse with trains. And what Tetsuro Araki was occupying his time with in between seasons 1 and 2 of Attack on Titan, just to kind of keep his teeth kind of sharp.
Yeah, I thought it was weird.
It is the same show.
I thought it was weird when they said that the zombie virus only affects old and immunocompromised people. I thought that was strange.
If you have heart disease, lung disease, or diabetes, and you've been bitten by a zombie,
I really look forward to this episode making any sense in 4 months. Nah, this will leave a
people
cultural scar.
will remember. No, this is like Dennard. This is one of those things like the Kennedy assassination or World War I, where like there was history before this happened, and then there's going to be history after this happened.
If I could sidebar something for a second,
mm-hmm.
If I could bring up a bit of personal stupidity or greatness, I wrote a political satire. Still trying to move it. Publishers, you're listening, whatever. But yeah, I wrote a political satire at one point in workshop. I thought it was great. I thought that was great, whatever. So after I wrote this thing, I was a little sad because, like, wow, publishing takes a long time, and this political satire was sort of my take on the rise of populism in America. Like, oh man, after he loses the election, no one's gonna care about this book. And she didn't even call him winning. No, she said, no, it's fine, Dennard. The cultural wounds his campaign have left will last long after any publishing issues you might encounter.
Some days I don't like the idea of waking up.
I'm more of the live for spite kind of guy. A bit like our protagonist in this, or like Eren Yeager. Praise be unto his name. I need to stop with the pseudo-Islam jokes because I feel like that's 20% more offensive than I think it is.
It's like it's better than having them be Nazi jokes because that is very clearly what Yams is invoking.
I will apologize to that specific quartet of Yahweh Americans and switch to co-opting Baptist dialogue because I'm from that hole and I really like kicking them in the shins.
You should.
All right, so Kabaneri, the Iron Fortress. As Sam was saying, this is what the AOT director...
Attack on Trains.
Yes, Attack on Trains is pretty fucking accurate. Our erstwhile train punk program. Instead of giants, they face fast zombies with a lot of endurances.
Fast zombies who are really hard to kill and kind of know kung fu just a little bit. You know, like later on the show, they can sword fight too.
Hot damn, and they have one bite conversion.
Yep. As is like it's pretty standard zombie rules, except they've got kind of super strength and super endurance too, and they can like jump and shit like that. It's like it is. They are designed to be a enemy in a Tetsuro Araki directed program, you know, just to get the most out of those fight scenes and to have them be the most terrifying.
And instead of having to cut the nape of the neck,
gotta get the heart.
You gotta get the heart, which has a little sort of heart shape.
Or you could cut their heads off, but that's really hard because their skin is like as hard as iron. So
when it comes to that heart cage and the problem of killing these things, I have to introduce this thing. I don't know if I'm nitpicking or it's a problem or it's just funny to me. But our protagonist is introduced as a smart guy.
I think we might be getting ahead of ourselves here.
Okay.
All right, let's go over, you know, the core premise here, right? This seems to be like Edo era Japan, like 1800s or something like that.
Yeah, firearms are in the picture. There are still a bunch of swords kicking about.
Still a bunch of swords around, and something like 2 decades ago, zombies happen. They're called Kabaneri, right? And the response from, you know, the population of Japan was to retreat into cities, build walls.
It hurts, doesn't it?
It hurts so good. Retreat into cities, build walls from which they hid behind, and travel from one city to another via train. And
I believe it's a Maria Rose.
There's the Maria line that's in kind of the north. There's like the
the Rose line is fucking full of homeless people all the time.
And then like the Cena line, if it ever fucking shows up. Sometimes like the Maria line and the Rose line, they kind of run on the same track, and they'll do some single tracking bullshit, and it's like it's like, why are they both going express? That now everything is going slow.
How am I going to make it to the inevitable coup that I can only assume is the political arc of this thing coming up at some point, because we must march to the beat of our progenitor's drum?
Yes, but it's far less interesting than one Attack on Titan. This is like
that's a summary of a lot of elements of Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress.
To be certain, this show is like fun. Yeah, it's fun. It has really good character designs. Hiroyuki Sawano does the score, and you know, I mark out so goddamn hard for Hiroyuki Sawano. I do think that Attack on Titan surpasses Fooly Cooly in terms of having the best score of any anime of all time. That is just my hot take, but
if you disagree, direct the hate mail to admin@reddit.com. I repeat, admin@reddit.com. We want to hear your complaints at length. Use any language you want. I'm here to make friends. We're making friends.
We're making lots of friends. Yes. No. The where it eventually goes is it comes up with a villain who looks like
he has incandescent pink hair as a start.
Bargain bin Sephiroth, with a just with a motive that seems to have really nothing to do with like the themes that they seem to be having on this show. And honestly, the themes that they have on this show. Sorry, I've been drinking. The themes that are present on this show.
Don't give away our fucking secrets. What the fuck are you doing? But when it comes to the bargain bin Sephiroth thing, I want to get something here real quick.
But hold on. But I'm gonna forget my point, and then this will just be a point that's been kind of orphaned here. The themes that they have on this show seem very less well defined than the ones on the show that this is taking after. It's here's the thing, it's almost impossible to talk about this series outside of the context of Attack on Titan because it's just like so very much
airlifted
like
Control C,
like my
Control V.
The idealist in me wants to believe that Araki again wanted to keep his teeth sharp, right, so he could direct season 2 of Attack on Titan, which fantastic fucking season. If that was his goal, he succeeded, like beyond his wildest dreams.
The cynic in me wants to believe that after the first season of this came out, he got an email from the AOT staff saying, "We'll cut off your fucking fingertips, you fuck. You think we can't see what you're doing?"
Oh, I thought he just wanted more Titan. Well, not he, but like someone wanted Titan money, and they're like, "Hey Tetsuro, what are you doing while Isayama writes more of the manga?" And Tetsuro's like, "I don't know. High School of the Dead's over.
I guess I'm stacking checks."
And so they made this, and it was fun. That is what I will say about Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress. It's fun.
Definitely fun. In terms of the villain who strolls into this
Biba.
Artful narrative.
Biba. His name is Biba, and he's not like it's a really terrible name.
There's Biba and the entire economy of sort of Sephiroth light kind of ties going. I think that I fucking replayed those games way later than someone my generation is normally exposed to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally realized why it's sort of okay in there and why it feels so half-assed half time.
Well, it's because there was a sense of irony to it in the game itself.
Not just a sense of irony
that
to
they
it,
just
but like
forgot about.
There were themes outside. There were forces outside of the character that fed into why it was interesting, other than just his sort of blank face. Like he's like a product of genetic engineering and all this shit,
mm-hmm.
and it plays into the main character's sort of mystery and lies or whatever. But fuck it, whatever. The action of the show, quite fun.
Oh, it's so good. It's like it's Tetsuro Araki. It's going to be it's going to be at the very least real good.
But when I talk about the violence in this show, I have to talk about the protagonist's nail gun thing.
The nail gun. All right, we were trying to get to this.
I was trying to get to this. It's important to me. Nitpicking is very important to me. It fills my heart with light. So, we learned that our protagonist is a smart guy.
Yes.
Because he builds this nail gun contraption to fight the Titans, to fight the zombies.
Kabane. He built another thing too, but we'll get to that.
We will get to that. But he builds a nail gun to fight the Kabane. This is a device that you kill zombies with by wandering into melee range. The first time he uses it, he is bitten and infected. It is about as effective as the guns already used in the series.
I feel like
what the fuck purpose does this thing?
I do feel like I'm missing something here. Like we're missing something here. Like I feel like it takes multiple shots to kill them from far away.
Multiple shots with which they do not tear off your genitalia and consume the.
There's something that makes it. I can't remember.
Not
like, it made sense to me the first time I watched this, and I was drunk the second time I watched it.
It's just not every member of their army is going to have an autoerotic asphyxiation machine with which to stop the infection.
God damn it! There was like a better way to deliver that joke.
Was there? Is there a right or wrong way to?
Okay, so what?
Reveal that the jerk
I'm gonna do it anyway. So what happens is he gets bit, kills the zombie that bit him, but he's still got bit. But he's in his apartment, so don't worry because he has a fucking autoerotic asphyxiation machine in his room that he hooks himself up to, so that the infection does not travel to. No, now I fucking well done. No, it. You have to build up to the punchline. You can't just drop the punchline on the...
Nah, baby, I'm from the comedy clubs. You gotta fucking shoot these guns out from your back pocket.
Bits have length to them. At the end of the bit is where they're supposed to laugh the hard... I'm mad now.
You know what? I'm putting up with this. I'm going to go to my autoerotic asphyxiation machine and enjoy a nice session of reflection.
This was gonna be like what? It's okay. It's okay. I'm not mad. In fact, I'm laughing.
So, what'd you think of him plugging plugging, was it Wall Rose or Wall Maria on the inside?
Rose.
The important thing is that this show has a just lift of the martyr spot from the first arc of AOT.
Oh man. Oh wait, no, that was Maria.
That was Maria?
That was Maria. Well, that was not like, that was like, you know how they have like the like double wall thing, the double wall cities. It was like the first of the two walls in Trost. Yes. I need to go back and just watch the entirety of that series again.
I would almost call this show a remix.
It is. It really is. It's like
they made the first
like Garen Ager is the protagonist. I think his name is like Ikuto or something like that. No, his name is Garen Ager. There's this one chick who's really good at killing folks.
In my notes she's Kimasa.
Kimasa Yackerman. There's this one unpleasant engineer. You know, his name might as well be, I don't know, some pun on John Kirstein.
Yeah, John isn't kicking enough consonants around for us to sort of do that fun flipping thing we're enjoying here, but
I remember John ended up becoming one of my favorite characters, you know, like, which was just a really hard 90-degree turn after, you know, introducing himself as like one of the most unpleasant fucks you've ever met.
AOT plays the audience like a fine fiddle.
Oh man.
I am worked.
Sam likes AOT.
We should do another Attack on Titan.
We should do someone
episode.
like, we should just call this the Attack on Titan show.
We only have 2 episodes that are basically Attack on Titan tributes. Like, what are we really doing here, man?
Like, I feel like you could have at least 6 of them. You know, like maybe spend half of the series just gushing.
Kimasa's introduction in the show, by the way, is a very fun action sequence.
Well, her sort of formal, this is who this character is introduction. She'd been around for a second.
Sorry,
right?
Let me rephrase that. The introduction of me caring.
Yeah, this we get this really nicely directed action sequence where she sort of sets a timer for herself, right? She wants to kill a horde of about like a dozen or so zombies in under 100 seconds. And through a mix of fun animation, interesting misdirection, and, you know, like just very good choreography. Like the whole thing is just solid, right? You know, we see her just kind of cut through all of them in what ends up being 110 seconds. She is disappointed with her performance at the end of this kind of just ass-kicking fiasco.
It's heavier on the anime stylization, and she might as well have turned to one of them and said, make sure this gets on Twitch. Before she started reaping the harvest of victims there.
See, I think that's sort of where this show stops and Attack on Titan keeps going, is that, you know, Attack on Titan, you sort of have character kind of mixed up in every single, you know, action sequence, whereas this one was just, well, here's this chick, she's pretty cool, she's gonna kill a dozen zombies for y'all now, so sit back.
When they were lifting that sequence of people seeing that Eren had turned into a Titan and the Hayden Fairing thing, this show's version of that, with them being, so Kabaneri are half zombie, half people, or hybrids. I forget their specific phrasing.
Zombie shifters,
yeah.
It's like
in the scene where
it's shameless is what it is.
Yeah, it is the sitcom Shameless. Now, in the scene where she fucking stands up for him by revealing her own zombie shifter status.
Yeah.
I could not help but think of how this show could have been the perfect comedy if they just unloaded as soon as she showed her fucking zombie marks.
This show also does kind of a hard cut to credits too, so that would have been a really good place to hard cut to credits.
Oh, yeah. We should make an edit of this.
You need to sort... Yeah, you could...
Or an edit of this without old Pinky. You know, there's all kinds of options. They
made a movie, which was surprising because I thought that I was one of, like, 7 people who watched this show.
There are a lot of people
looking for more
Attack on Titan, man.
It came out last year. Well, here's the thing. By last year, we had more Attack on Titan. We had 2 more seasons of Attack on Titan, and we knew that we were getting a 4th one because, like, this... It delivered on its own hype.
Das goods, yeah.
It kept its promises. No, We got a movie last year of this. Then I watched it because I'd seen the show.
What
I
else
liked
is
it well
there
enough.
in this world? No, that wasn't an open question. I just
It
meant
was.
like,
It was. There's more. There's more zombies. Like a lot of them.
I should underscore because I've been mocking the fuck out of this one because I really just enjoy seeing an opening on someone's flank. I did enjoy watching this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think like there's all sorts of opportunities to roast it, but it is a fun show that's very well animated. The character designs are great. The direction is very well done. It's in concept. It is not perhaps the most original piece of media, but the way that it goes about being an Attack on Titan clone is entertaining, and like I said, Hiroyuki Sawano is there to make everything feel even more dramatic. No, not dramatic. Dire. Dire is the word. Hiroyuki Sawano scores make everything sound
his
dire.
soundtrack spells stakes.
Yes, absolutely. Like
sometimes he adds tension to scenes that the writers fucking forgot to put in there.
Here's the great fucking thing is that he did the score to Owari no Seraph too, and that show was so fucking awful that even his genius could not save it.
I promise you that shit is worse on mute.
Probably, yeah.
Like no matter how much you dislike the voice actors, the pain quota, it's like unanesthetized fucking wisdom tooth surgery.
But I remember at least one of them having like a really fucking annoying voice that I feel as though muting would have, anesthetized me too.
Was it the young vampire queen lady? Actually,
I think it might have been her, yes.
Though she may have just caused you conceptual pain due to the aloes and quantities of being at it again.
Well, no, I mean, that's always there, but I just remember how uninteresting she was.
You know what's unrelated to the aloes being added again, by the way? The show High School of the Dead.
Yeah, totally, dude.
It's also unrelated to pathogens, outbreaks, diseases,
pandemics,
or any affairs of uncleanliness whatsoever.
This was one of the dumbest fucking things I've ever seen in my entire goddamn life. Like, what a goddamn bag of fucking ruffles with ridges.
So because I have a personality disorder, I've described a lot of shows as me feeling like I had stroked out. And my entire view of this show, for its good and bad elements, this is probably the best of the shows where I thought I had stroked out, is how I describe High School of the Dead.
Also directed by Tetsuro Araki. And it's really interesting watching him sort of develop his style a little bit. Like, I think he'd already directed Death Note at this point, right?
So this is post-Death Note, pre-Iron Fortress, pre-Attack on Titan.
Pre-Attack on Titan, way pre-Iron Fortress. I think that was like 2016. Attack on Titan was 2012, 2013-ish. So this is 2009, I want to say. Right? I do feel like I was in high school.
Sam has a very solid point. Our theme is actually the development of Araki and not the coronavirus.
Honest to fucking God, we should have started with Death Note, but that wouldn't have been on theme here. But hey,
wow, we would look way less like dickheads right now.
We're already dickheads. They know this.
So, concept layer.
There's a high school. It's full of dead. The dead. That's a high school, and it's of the dead because there's zombies. And
there are two viruses. One virus is your sort of workaday zombie virus. Are they fast? They're moderate speed zombies.
They seem actually like fairly slow.
Fairly slow.
They seem fairly like they're zombies.
They're not full shamblers.
There's absolutely no gimmick or twist to the zombies in this show. They are zombies exactly how you expect zombies to be.
And the other virus causes breast hyperinflation in half the population.
Yeah, so here's where those
it's incurable.
Here's where those L's start being added
instantaneously. It's not lethal. But there's no cure.
Now here's the thing about this. Yeah, this show very much knows where its bread is fucking buttered, right? Like, first off, we're going to get zombies getting their fucking like brains splattered all over the place, right?
Hot zombies.
Hot. I don't remember the zombies being too amazingly hot.
Actually, it's weird. The victims are split pretty evenly down the gender line, but the zombies are mostly dudes. I didn't even think about that.
They're just kind of guys, yeah. Like people think of zombies as just a guy in a button-down shirt, and it's always a button-down shirt.
Vague fears of collectivism,
something like that, yeah. And then you've got your cast of humans, which is dude 1. He is generic. Dude 2. He's kind of like this kind of heavy set nerd who's pretty good at
he's some kind
shit.
of NRA aficionado in a nation that was not ready for him before this moment.
Something like that, yeah. Like he'd gone on gun forums and shit like that. This was kind of his time. And then there's 4 women. Four women, 3 of them high schoolers, 1 of them the school nurse, all of them like, what do I even say?
Oh, I have plenty to say. I am locked and fucking loaded, much like our NRA friend. So I'm going to start with the nurse. She's the least important one, but I feel like I have to start with her because there's a writing lesson in here, and I love to impart wisdom to my friends of the podcast.
Go for it.
So she's like got this whole titty monster gag going, right? Here's the thing. When everyone, it's like syndrome. When everyone's a sex object, no one is. And she has no fucking purpose because everyone fucking looks like her. Like, forget whether or not you need a character like that. Why is she here? She has 3 clones with different shades of hair dye. Whatever. So she exists. She's kind of useless. She's sort of a comic relief kind of thing, I guess.
Seems to be that way, yes.
Dead weight.
It's been I want to say a decade since I watched through this show, and I do not remember where they really go with her.
She's kind of like a walking inventory item. I feel like they could throw her like a flashbang grenade to get a few seconds away from the zombies. So there's her. Then we have our erstwhile female lead, who our generic male lead bats his eyes at lovingly in the distance, right in the view of her boyfriend. Because kind of fuck our protagonist for that one, actually. Yeah, no, he...
Yeah, no, like the show actually... there's a cold open, right, where they're like in the middle of this. And then, after the theme song plays, the story begins with him going on kind of a fucking little incel rant about how he wants to be dating this chick, but, his best friend is instead, and fuck them both for it. And then the zombie apocalypse begins, or at least the one contained within this high school.
There is a scene that cannot be overlooked or denied in the development of this love triangle.
Yep, yeah, and it's
art.
So lovingly animated and directed, and it's just executed so amazingly perfectly.
Just assume I said the word art 12 more times.
Art.
So he tries to come in and rationally convince her and her boyfriend that some strange violence is breaking out in the school. And when I say rationally, I mean when they show the little bit of natural resistance that you show when your incel former best friend starts ranting about how your girlfriend needs to leave the room with him immediately. He gives her this open palm Rocky Balboa slap that is so lovingly rendered and comes out of fucking nowhere.
It's impossible not to laugh. Like, no matter...
It's the best punchline I've seen in years. I'm surprised she did not lift off the ground with the velocity that they animated this slap.
It almost felt like the axle upon which the rest of the episode turned. It was so... Just such thought went into the entire fucking second and a half.
Hey, a bunch of your fucking anime nerds, right? Or maybe you think Sam's hilarious, whatever. But if you take your mind back to Gurren Lagann and just Simone being launched out of that robot saying clench those teeth and cracking Rossiu in the skull.
It's not dissimilar.
It is not dissimilar in the energy of the blow, the loving care put behind it. Top 3 single anime strikes. So
I'll have to think about that one.
So when it comes to the show's strengths and weaknesses, here's another encapsulation of it.
Okay,
for my money. I was a late comer to the fucking Fast and Furious franchise of films, right?
Yeah.
The first one I ever saw was Furious 7.
Okay.
And I think it might be the most, despite the budget, despite how elaborate some things are, one of the most minimalist films ever made. Because it's an action film straight down to its bare components. And every frame of Furious 7... It
buttered, yeah.
It knows it's bread is buttered. And because of that, every frame is a car, a punch, or a butt. And every frame of High School of the Dead is someone screaming,
violence,
a punch, or a boob. If Fast and the Furious is like ass men, this is, I guess, the breast men show.
Oh, there's plenty for everyone in this show.
I don't know, the pantsuit thing is almost solitary next to all the bouncing going around.
I don't know, there's a fucking lot of pantsuit, dude. I feel like you might be underselling it. Like, they all have their own, like, idiosyncratic patterns and everything, too. I was noticing. Not that I try to pay attention to these things, but, you know, like, being as it was sort of difficult to look at anything else.
They are dedicated. They are definitely dedicated. But yeah, this show is the most itself that I have seen a show being in a while, and I don't disrespect it.
What's really interesting, and I always use Prison School as a gauge for things like this, right? What's interesting about shows with a whole ton of fan service is that I will always take into consideration how much of a fucking perv I feel like watching a particular show, right? At like Prison School, I didn't actually feel like a perv at all, right? This, I felt like a little bit of a perv. You know, there's shows where like the more of a perv I feel like, the more points I tend to kind of dock from it. As is like if the fan service is gratuitous and awkward, right? That is going to take away from, you know, like my ability to immerse myself in that show, right? So it is gratuitous, yes. Somehow it manages not to be awkward. I'm going to credit Tetsuro Araki's direction.
That's one idea. I have another one on why it is super gratuitous, but why it might work in this case.
Mm-hmm.
I think in a lot of these shows, the gratuitousness distracts or contrasts from its supposed genre or topic or aims. Whereas this one came in at the door, sunglasses on, and said, "Are you ready to fucking go?"
No, it did.
Like this one came in saying, "I'm going to constantly stimulate the bottom half of your brain."
Yeah, it's
thumbs up or thumbs down. You're on this ride or you're not. And
it is an immensely unpretentious show.
Yeah. And
it has no high-minded ambitions or anything. It has no sense of irony to it either. Like the way that, you know, like some really shitty shows that we've covered here. I'm gonna go with MILF Isekai as my exemplar here. Has a, you know, sort of
aren't we stinkers for doing
like,
this? You're
aren't we
laughing.
stinkers kind of sense of irony. Like he's like, hey, this is ridiculous, right? It's like, no, you're ridiculous. Whoever the fuck you are writing this.
Whereas it turns out it is easier to respect a show just being fucking ridiculous, I guess.
And I almost feel as though I'm double dealing here. I want to like I would love to be able to reduce this down to sort of like math or something like this, like the difference between this or yes, indeed, MILF Isekai or like Conception or something like that, right? We've talked about Conception, right?
Yeah, we talked about Conception.
I think it
worst
came,
of the decade episode.
Like it definitely was one of the worst of the decade, like without a goddamn doubt.
Fucking magical.
Wow. And that's the thing. Like I talk about how much I hate shows that pretend that like, oh, they're just shameless. How can you how can you just like no? But then you have a show like High School of the Dead, which is shameless. Maybe it's just that it has the direction capable of backing it up. I feel like there's more here though. Like I feel as though there's something that makes this work that makes me think, okay, guy.
Well, in a lot of the shows that we were just taking little swipes at there, I think there's something to be said for the action vector on those shows doesn't work. Like this is trying to be like a hyper blood and guts kind of experience. I think we can engage with something that aims for that pin. Remember Grindhouse?
Yeah.
You're like Rose McGowan strutting around. I think it's almost in that register.
Could be. I think there was a lot more money
There's a lot more money put into this, yeah.
Right, than perhaps went to... No, it doesn't get, like... I'm not giving MILF Isekai the benefit of the doubt just because it had a lower budget than High School of the Dead.
Mm.
Because if a show's premise works, then it fucking works. And I've seen anime that was made with fucking the money they found between their couch cushions that worked better than, some truly expensive shit. Like fucking Cromartie High School is one of the funniest goddamn shows I've ever seen. And had a budget of $5. So,
you
no.
think they had $5? That is a show made out of debt.
I wanna say that like they made that show in between working on other things, just kind of in their free time.
Yeah.
For free. Just I'll make this show, okay.
Speaking of budget, you know where they save a little money on this fucking show? Paying music licensing fees.
Yeah. Oh god, that was
because in one of the most overt cases of theft I have seen
they just played
in my life, as a fan, as a critic, as a human being, they just fucking swipe the song from 28 Days Later.
You know the one, like the that one. It just plays, except a couple of the notes have been replaced when he has to kill his generic ass friend who's been bitten.
It is incredibly egregious and distracting. And I was laughing parts of my lungs out.
I wonder, like, I don't know.
You'll need the whole lung.
Maybe this being 2009 or something like that. And I'm going to feel like a fucking idiot if this ended up being, another year, especially if it ended up being, like, several years later. But I do feel like it was 2009. That sounds correct.
Take your shot.
I wonder if it's just, if in 2009... fewer people had the chance to see 28 Days Later? No, that sounds a little half-assed.
The diagram of people who give a shit about zombie movies and people who've seen 28 Days Later.
I feel like fewer people give a shit about zombie movies these days.
Well, yeah, these days we're making this fucking episode in 2020. But within that community, seen 28 Days Later.
Yeah, I feel like they had. Yeah, no, like the craze was basically at its height when we were like seniors in high school. Like you're a year older than me, so like when you had just started college, I was a senior in high school. Like I went to Comic-Con, right? I went to Comic-Con, and outside the Javits Center was just this giant fucking banner for the upcoming TV series The Walking Dead, and I was already fucking burnt out on the genre.
And I was looking at the sign saying, "It'll never catch on." Lo X behold. I enjoy being wrong about things. So there's still room for surprise in this world. For example, I said, our government can, handle a crisis as heavily forecasted as this one.
If it had competent leadership.
Lo and / or behold.
Anime aside, I am fascinated just thinking of, oh god, did this come up before we started recording or after we started recording? Just like, it's going to be interesting when this is all over. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I am really looking forward to seeing the second shoe drop and the third, hitherto unmentioned shoe that the guy was just carrying, I guess.
It was just in his backpack or something like that. Just like the unknown of this whole fucking thing.
Yeah. When the old Donnie Rumsfeld drops on this one, it's gonna be something else. Anyway, kill your masters. I am Dennard. Blind Monkey Dayle.
I am Sam, Mute Monkey Lagow. This has been Weeaboo Hell. It's Weeaboo Hell.
And I would like to direct you all one more time to Sam's tweeting efforts for this old podcast.
Looks like I'm going to have to start tweeting again.
Yes, you fucking are. And that would be at Weeaboo Hell.
Take care.
Take care.
Don't die.
Avoid dying. All jokes aside, I really... Stay safe, wash your hands, stay inside, fuck your boss. did to my hand. Like, is this what a chronic masturbator feels like? Someone who does not own the efficient glow of a Tenga. I don't own a Tenga. Let me just
What is a
establish
Tenga?
A Tenga is...
Oh, is this some mallow shit?
Is this some mallow shit? This is like this mechanized, like, masturbatory aid guys use.
What?
Dude,
what do you need an aid besides, like, I guess Vaseline if you're cut?
Vaseline if you're cut, or I don't know, maybe... Arthritis is a thing? I think arthritis has to be the differentiator in the male sex toy market. When...
Listen, if you have arthritis, are you even masturbating anymore? I mean, like, I guess maybe you are, or...
I mean, arthritis will not decrease your desire to crank one out. It will simply increase the difficulty of the process. This is trying to move the Overton window back into a sane space for these men.
God, that does sound kind of shitty. Like,
yeah, it would suck. And I don't know. I think we should be I think we could be more generous to the dude sex toy concept. That it's one of the only things I think could be a legitimate fucking double standard. That if you are a female American, you can indulge in the fucking Pulverizer 3000 fucking orbital satellite rod launcher. Fucking plug in coordinates, it just shoots one down. Wherever you are, as long as you sit spread-eagled on your fucking, resting on your fucking shoulder blades. These are the pictures I paint. I'm an artist.
Yeah, but no, like, the one who possesses, you know, a Ponos. There's, like... Yeah, I don't know. There's something of, like, the fleshlight stigma, I feel like.
Yeah, the fleshlight stigma, which I think also just extends to... Maybe it ends up limiting the quality of the range of options you end up pursuing. And our point is that we're sponsored by Tenga now.
Are we? Okay.
Yeah, pick one up at your local store. You can get one for just... I'm going to Google this shit. Hold on.
Tenga, I have some news. You're sponsoring us now.
Yeah, you're I hope you like being associated with High School of the Dead, because that's where this episode's going.
Oh, man, is it going?